Hey, welcome to this amazing video where we explore how Stoic philosophy can help you deal with social anxiety in everyday situations. Just imagine, if you're always nervous, afraid of being judged, or uncomfortable in social interactions, this video is for you. I will share with you powerful wisdom and practical strategies from ancient Stoic philosophers to help you face these difficulties. The Stoics were a group of Greek philosophers around 300 years before Christ, and they created a practical system of logic and ethics to achieve tranquility and resilience even in difficult moments in life. Although these teachings emerged centuries ago, the central principles remain super relevant and can be applied in our daily lives. In this video, we'll dive into key Stoic concepts and techniques for reducing social anxiety and increasing your confidence in common situations like conversations, public presentations, networking events, and more. I will share insights from great Stoic thinkers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, whose words show a deep understanding of the human condition. The beauty of Stoic philosophy lies in its simplicity and practicality. Anyone can understand and apply these teachings to their own experiences, finding effective solutions. I will use many examples from our contemporary world to ensure that these ancient ideas make sense to you and resonate in your everyday life. So, get ready to learn how Stoic wisdom can transform the way you face social interactions and help you find more peace and confidence. Here we go. Chapter 1: Understanding Social Anxiety. Let's take a deeper dive into what social anxiety is and how it can affect your life. Did you know that millions of people around the world deal with this every day? Feeling nervous, afraid of being judged, or embarrassed in social situations is more common than you might think. As the wise Stoic Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This is very true, isn't it? Sometimes anxiety can manifest itself physically: a racing heart, sweaty hands, a shaky voice, or even nausea when you have to interact with other people. But social anxiety goes beyond just physical discomfort. This condition can make you avoid important situations, such as public speaking, meeting new people, or attending meetings. Fear takes over, and suddenly you find yourself running away from opportunities. But here's the thing. If you have big goals, you need to dedicate yourself to surpassing them too. Overcoming social anxiety isn't easy, but the benefits are enormous. Think about the opportunities you miss because of anxiety. How many valuable connections could you have made? How many moments have you missed because you were too worried? Imagine being able to pursue that new job with confidence, speak in meetings without hesitation, attend social events, and truly be present instead of being consumed by anxious thoughts. Stoic philosophers, such as Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, have a lot to teach us about this. They believe that anxiety is a natural response, but how you perceive and respond to it is what really matters. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." With this mindset, you can begin to see social anxiety not as an enemy, but as an opportunity for growth. Stoicism offers us practical tools to reshape our perspective. For example, the Stoics practiced the dichotomy of control, focusing only on what you can control and letting go of what is out of your reach. That's liberating, don't you think? By applying this idea, you can begin to tackle social anxiety in a healthier way. Instead of worrying about what others will think, focus on what you can do to feel better and more confident. Let's think about a practical situation. You have to speak in public. Instead of imagining every catastrophic scenario, practice Stoic preparation. Think about the worst-case scenarios and prepare for them, but also visualize the best outcomes. This will give you a feeling of control and confidence. Another important point is acceptance. Stoics teach us to accept our emotions without judgment. Feeling anxiety is normal, but you don't need to identify with it. Acknowledge anxiety, but don't let it define who you are or what you can achieve. And of course, practice gratitude. Be grateful for the small daily victories. Every time you face a social situation and come out of it with a little more confidence, celebrate. Gratitude shifts your focus from fear to appreciation, and this can be a powerful motivator. So, let's go on this journey together. With Stoic principles as your guide, you can transform social anxiety from a paralyzing obstacle into a springboard for your personal development and a fuller, more authentic life. Are you ready to take the next step? I'm here to support you at every step. Chapter 2: The Stoic Dichotomy of Control. Let's talk about something that can transform the way you cope with social anxiety. The Stoic Dichotomy of Control. This concept is one of the pillars of Stoic philosophy and can be a real game changer for you. The central idea is very simple. You only have total control over your thoughts, judgments, and actions. Everything else, like the behavior of others and the outcomes of external events, is out of your control. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "Have power over your mind, not over external events." Realize this, and you will discover strength. When it comes to social anxiety, much of our fear comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. You worry about what others will think, whether they will judge or reject you, or whether something embarrassing will happen. But Stoics would say this is a recipe for inner turmoil. Imagine you are about to give a presentation at work. You may feel that anxiety building, thinking, "What if I get my words wrong?" Or, "What if people think I'm incompetent?" These concerns come from a desire to control how the public perceives you, something that is completely out of your reach. But what is in your control is how you prepare, how you regulate your emotions and self-talk, and how you react during the presentation. Marco Aurelius said something that sums this up well. The universe is constantly changing. Our life is what our thoughts make of it. Instead of tormenting yourself over what you can't control, focus on maintaining your balance, preparation, and having a rational perspective. This shift in focus is incredibly empowering. Let's take another everyday example. Talking to someone new. Anxious thoughts may arise, such as, "What if they don't like me?" Or, "What if I say something weird?" Once again, others' perception of you is out of your control. But you can control your inner calm through techniques like deep breathing. You can control eye contact, listen carefully, and choose what you say carefully. By focusing only on what you can control in social situations, Stoic philosophy offers a robust framework for overcoming anxiety. Think of it as a practical strategy for your daily life. When you are faced with a challenging social situation, ask yourself, "What is in my control here? And what's not there?" Focusing on what you can actually influence will alleviate much of the weight of anxiety. So, are you ready to start applying this dichotomy of control to your life? Remember, the key is to put your energy into what you can control and let the rest go. With this mindset, you will notice a significant change in the way you face your anxieties and social challenges. I'm here to support you on this path. Let's go together. Chapter 3: Practicing Rational Thinking. Let's talk about how you can use rational thinking to tackle social anxiety. At the heart of this anxiety are often irrational thoughts and cognitive distortions that fuel fear and nervousness. As Epictetus wisely said, "Man is not disturbed by events, but by the vision he has of them." Our minds love to tell anxious stories and imagine catastrophic scenarios in social situations with no basis in reality. The Stoics knew that while we can't always control our initial reactions, we can control how we process and respond to those thoughts and feelings. Let's see how you can apply this in practice. Imagine you are at a party and you see a group of people you don't know. Anxious thoughts begin to arise. "They'll think I'm weird if I try to talk to them. I'll end up embarrassing myself." Your mind is already catastrophizing a social interaction that hasn't even happened yet. This is the irrational vision that is causing you disturbance and anxiety. The Stoic approach would be to pause, take a deep breath, and begin to question these anxious thoughts in a rational way. Ask yourself, is this true? Will they definitely think I'm weird just for trying to be friendly? Do I have any concrete evidence to believe this? And even if they judge me negatively, how important is that in the grand scheme of things? Remember times when you thought people judged you harshly, but in reality, they didn't. By challenging your irrational fears with this kind of Socratic questioning, you weaken their power over you. You realize that these distressing thoughts are not based on facts, but rather on pessimistic guesses. Seneca, a great Roman statesman, reinforce this by saying, "We are more often frightened than wounded, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." With consistent practice, regulating your mind in this way, you regain control of irrational and anxious thoughts. You become more grounded in the reality of social situations rather than being hijacked by imagined worst-case scenarios. And that's how you build trust. Let's think about another example. Let's say you have an important meeting at work. Before you go in, your mind may start racing thoughts like, "What if I say something wrong? What if they think I don't know what I'm talking about?" Stop for a moment and ask yourself, do I have evidence that I always say the wrong things? Have there been times when I did well in meetings and people respected me? And if I make a mistake, is it the end of the world, or can I correct it and move on? Questioning these thoughts helps you realize that they are not as powerful as they seem. And most importantly, you begin to understand that you can control your response to them. By doing this, you become more confident and prepare to face any social situation that arises. Chapter 4: Building Trust Through Virtue. Let's talk about how you can build unshakable confidence through virtue. This is one of the fundamental pillars of Stoicism. True confidence and self-respect come from living a virtuous life, following reason and wisdom. As Epictetus said, "No man is free if he is not master of himself." When you align your thoughts and actions with virtues such as courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom, you build an inner strength that nothing can shake. This self-confidence becomes your rock in the ocean of social anxiety. First, let's talk about the virtue of courage. Oftentimes, our social fears come from avoiding discomfort. No one wants to feel anxious, judged, or embarrassed, so we avoid certain situations. But Stoics would say that psychological discomfort is an inevitable part of life. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is constantly changing. Our life is what our thoughts make it." By avoiding discomfort, we let our fears control us instead of using our rational mind. True courage involves facing anxiety and taking wise actions for a greater purpose. This could be having an honest conversation with a friend about a problem, even if it makes you nervous. It could be raising your hand in a meeting when you have something valuable to contribute. It could be introducing yourself to someone new at an event, even if your heart is racing. William Makepeace Thackeray said, "Courage never goes out of fashion." Every courageous action you take builds your confidence for the next situation. Wisdom is also essential for self-government. A wise person has perspective and does not make hasty judgments or give unbridled power to irrational thoughts and emotions, such as social anxiety. A wise person might observe their feelings of anxiety and think, "This is just an instinctive response based on irrational fears about the unknown. It doesn't need to control me." They can regulate their mind and body through self-talk, negative visualization, and conscious breathing. Remember what the Stoics teach about sacrifice and effort. No approach is made without effort. Neither can a thing be hunted that does not flee. This means that you must make some effort or give up on something before achieving a goal. Likewise, social confidence comes from diligently practicing wisdom, continually catching and reframing anxious thoughts before they become uncontrollable. Finally, the virtue of temperance is crucial. Temperance involves moderation, balance, and self-discipline. This is key to managing social anxiety, as symptoms often involve a feeling of loss of control. Someone who acts with temperance is not hijacked by anxious emotions in the heat of a social interaction. They can remain grounded and balanced, think before reacting, and have the restraint to pause and start again when anxiety arises rather than letting it spiral. The philosopher Zeno of Citium described the temperate person as being indifferent to pain or pleasure. Feeling a little nervous is inevitable, but you can develop the mental toughness to not let it control you. You cultivate an unshakable core of self-confidence by incorporating virtues such as courage, wisdom, and temperance into your daily life. This way, you stop being at the mercy of social fears and start operating from a place of inner strength. Chapter 5: The Power of Present Moment Awareness. One of the biggest traps that fuels social anxiety is getting stuck in your own mind, wallowing in worries about the future or ruminating about the past. The Stoics remind us that the only time we truly have control is now. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, confine yourself to the present. When you're fully present during social interactions, there's no room for anxious thoughts about what could go wrong or some embarrassing moment that happened before. You are living the reality that is right in front of you. Imagine you are talking to a colleague about an upcoming project. If you're fully engaged, listening with full attention, there's no way you can simultaneously be stuck with anxious thoughts like, what if I say something stupid? Or, did I behave strangely at the last meeting? These thoughts simply don't have room to flourish when your mind is anchored in the present. The Stoic philosopher Seneca highlighted this by saying that life is divided into 3 periods: that which was, that which is, and that which will be. Of these, the present is short. When you fixate on the past or worry about the future, you ignore the most critical period, the fleeting present. You deprive yourself of the richness of immediate human interactions and happy experiences. Fortunately, the ancient Stoics developed powerful mindfulness practices to cultivate present moment awareness in everyday situations. A highly effective technique is to focus your attention on the inhalation and exhalation of your breath. This simple yet profound act helps ground your mind. When faced with a social situation, by focusing on your breathing, you release anxious predictions and tune in to your surroundings, the sights, sounds, and physical sensations of the present moment. Another Stoic mindfulness practice is to pause and vividly observe your surroundings using all 5 of your senses. If you are talking to someone, instead of getting lost in your insecure self-talk, feel the solidity of the ground beneath your feet. Look the person in the eyes and notice their micro-expressions and body language. Listen to the various environmental noises around you. This technique helps awaken your consciousness, moving away from the usual mind wandering and immersing yourself in the living vibration of the reality manifest in that interaction. As the philosopher Epictetus wrote, "The person who follows reason in all situations will act correctly at each stage, based on his mental health." When you access data from all 5 senses, you ignore the biases, assumptions, and stories your anxious mind creates. You exist purely as an observer focused on the present. By practicing mindfulness consistently, you train your mind to stay rooted in the here and now, rather than being consumed by the whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The more you live fully rooted in the present moment, the more social anxiety loses its hold on you. When reflecting on social anxiety, remember that you have the power to change your experience. Ground yourself in the present moment, where true strength lies. Come on, you can do this. Chapter 6. Reflecting on social interactions. Let's be serious. Reflecting on your social interactions is one of the best ways to grow and overcome social anxiety. As Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And this is especially true when you want to free yourself from this social fear in the long term. When you honestly reflect on your experiences, you can identify areas for improvement and adjust your perspective. People with social anxiety often ruminate about perceived failures or embarrassing moments. Have you ever found yourself thinking, "Wow, I looked so weird when I tried to make that joke," or "They probably think I'm weird because I don't talk much"? Yes, but the Stoics would say that this obsession with what others think of you is a huge waste of mental energy. Remember Stoic wisdom? They value what is within their control and despise what is not. The opinions others form about you are based on interactions that are ultimately out of your control. If someone thinks you're weird, that's their problem, not yours. What matters is how you respond and grow from this experience. Receiving criticism can be difficult, but the Stoics teach that if you learn to accept criticism and overcome bitterness, you gain immense freedom. Instead of torturing yourself with other people's perceptions, reflect objectively. What did I do well in this interaction? What didn't go as I expected? How can I improve? Take that weight of judgment off your shoulders. Another thing, the Stoics are masters at separating what is under their control from what is not. Making social mistakes or failing at something is inevitable, it's life. Seneca said that it is a difficult path that leads to the heights of greatness, but it is possible to climb it if only men would stop worshiping the trifles of their hearts and strive for high goals. The key is how you respond to failure or embarrassment. You can't completely avoid these moments, but you can choose to wallow in shame and anxiety or learn and grow from them. Let's imagine you had an important presentation at work and it could have gone better. You stumbled over a few words and even fumbled at a crucial point. Blaming yourself and being anxious doesn't solve anything. A wise response, according to the Stoics, would be to reflect objectively on what caused these errors without judging oneself harshly. First, identify what you can improve in your preparation. Second, find concrete lessons, such as allowing more practice time or using flashcards. Third, have self-compassion. Remember that everyone is imperfect. And finally, focus on doing better in the next opportunities rather than ruminating on the past. So, as you reflect on your social interactions, remember, the power is in your hands. Learn from each experience, grow, and keep moving forward. After all, as Epictetus said, make yourself a standard of excellence. You have everything you need to become the best version of yourself. Chapter 7: Building Resilience and Personal Growth. Let's talk about an essential thing that can change your life: resilience. Dealing with social anxiety often comes down to this. The Stoics teach us that we need to work tirelessly on our own reason and learn to deal with the moods of others as best we can. Instead of falling apart when things don't go as planned, it's time to reflect constructively, let go, and commit to growth. Social anxiety usually appears because we are not prepared to deal with the unexpected. But hey, by taking a rational, growth-focused approach, you can turn every social situation into an opportunity to empower yourself. Seneca said that the path is long if we follow the precepts, but short and fruitful if we follow standards. Then, learn from each experience, using Stoic wisdom. Little by little, your anxiety will decrease, while your resilience will strengthen. What was once scary becomes just another chance to practice your life philosophy. Throughout this chapter, we explore profound teachings from the ancient Stoics and how to apply them to overcome social anxiety in our daily lives. We begin by understanding the nature of social anxiety and how it prevents us from living fully. Then we saw how the Stoics give us a solid framework for managing this anxiety, with principles such as the dichotomy of control, where we focus our efforts only on what we can control, leaving aside the opinions of others. We also learn to practice rational thinking, challenging those anxious, irrational thoughts that fuel our social fears. We have discovered that true self-confidence comes from living up to virtues such as courage, wisdom, and self-discipline. And we saw the importance of being present in the moment, using mindfulness to ground ourselves in reality rather than getting lost in anxious stories. Reflecting objectively on our social experiences is crucial. Instead of ruminating about perceived judgments or failures, we use these reflections to learn and grow. Although these concepts originated thousands of years ago, Stoic wisdom is timeless and practical, especially for those struggling with social anxiety today. They remind us that we have the power to control our minds and find inner strength, even in the storms of life. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed for a happy life. It is all within you, in your way of thinking." This journey into Stoic wisdom has given you a new perspective and concrete tools to better manage your social fears. The path requires diligent practice, but the rewards are immense. Imagine being able to live fully, connect with others, and face life's adventures without being constantly hijacked by anxiety. You can do it. Start implementing these strategies gradually. When anxious thoughts arise, apply Stoic rationality and mindfulness. See every social interaction as an opportunity to practice these principles, rather than something to fear. Over time, empowering yourself with this ancient wisdom will allow your true confidence to emerge. You will be sure that you have the mental toughness and resilience to deal with anything life throws your way. Remember, you got this. If you found value in this chapter, please share your biggest takeaways or any other thoughts. And continue this journey, applying these timeless philosophical teachings to modern challenges. Thank you for joining me on this journey towards the brilliance of the Stoics. Let's move on. Chapter 8. Facing the fear of judgment. Have you ever felt paralyzed by fear of what others might think of you? This is one of the great villains of social anxiety. This fear can stop us from taking action, from genuinely expressing ourselves, and from living our lives the way we truly want. But let's face it head on. The judgment of others is beyond our control. The Stoics constantly remind us to focus only on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and reactions. Epictetus said something very powerful. It is not things that trouble us, but our opinions about them. This means that the fear of judgment is more about how you interpret the situation than the situation itself. If someone thinks something negative about you, it says more about them than it does about you. The judgment of others is often a projection of your own insecurities and prejudices. Let's reflect on this a little more. Imagine you are in a meeting and giving a presentation. You feel like some people might be judging you. Maybe someone makes a disdainful face or mumbles something to the colleague next to them. It's easy to let these little signs get to us. However, it is crucial to remember that their perception is subjective and does not reflect the absolute truth about us. What someone thinks about you does not define who you are. So the next time you feel that fear of judgment creeping in, take a break. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, does this really matter? You'll find that most of the time it doesn't matter that much. And even when it seems to matter, you have the power to choose how to react. Choose to react with confidence, with the awareness that you are enough and that a person's value is not determined by the approval of others. Use every social interaction as a training ground. The more you face fear, the stronger you will become. Think of it as a muscle you are strengthening. Over time, you will realize that other people's opinions have much less power over you than you thought. You are the owner of your own narrative. Live according to your values and virtues, and let others think what they want. Additionally, consider the possibility that other people's judgment can be an opportunity for growth. By facing and overcoming the fear of what others think, you develop resilience and self-confidence. Every time you put yourself out there, you are expanding your limits and becoming a more authentic version of yourself. Remember that self-compassion is crucial in this process. Be kind to yourself and acknowledge your progress. In short, fear of judgment is a barrier we all face at some point, but it doesn't have to be an insurmountable obstacle. With practice and a shift in perspective, you can free yourself from this paralyzing worry. Focus on what you can control. Value your own opinion of yourself above all else, and move forward with courage and determination. True freedom comes from living according to your own principles, not the expectations of others. Chapter 9. The value of daily courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. This is something the Stoics understood very well. Daily courage is the fuel that helps you move forward, even when social anxiety tries to pull you back. Without courage, our lives become limited by fear and insecurity. However, when we cultivate courage, we open doors to opportunity and personal growth. Imagine that each day is a new opportunity to practice small acts of courage. It could be something as simple as greeting someone new at work or sharing your ideas in a meeting. Small gestures, which may seem insignificant at first glance, have the power to transform the way you see yourself and how you interact with the world. Every small act of courage strengthens your confidence and lessens the power of anxiety. It's important to recognize and celebrate these moments, as they are the building blocks of a courageous and fulfilling life. Remember what William Makepeace Thackeray said, "Courage never goes out of style." This quote reminds us that, regardless of the time or context, courage will always be a valuable and admirable attribute. When you face your fears head-on, you not only grow personally, but you also inspire those around you. Courage is contagious. By being brave, you encourage others to be brave too. Your acts of courage can create a domino effect, inspiring friends, family, and colleagues to also face their own fears. Start small, but be consistent. Make courage a daily habit. Every time you challenge yourself, you are building a solid foundation of self-confidence that will sustain you in times of greater challenge. Courage is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. It's not just about great heroic acts, but about small daily choices that, when accumulated, have a profound impact. Think about everyday examples. Maybe you are afraid of public speaking, but decide to attend a meeting and express your ideas. Or maybe you feel anxiety at social events, but decide to go and talk to someone new. These acts may seem small, but they are vital to developing courage. Every time you challenge yourself, you are pushing your limits and becoming more resilient. Additionally, practicing daily courage helps us face greater challenges when they arise. When you're used to making small, courageous decisions every day, big decisions become less scary. You develop resilience that allows you to deal with adverse situations more effectively and confidently. Finally, remember to be kind to yourself in the process. The path to courage is not linear, and there will be days when you may feel like you haven't been able to be as brave as you would like. All good. The important thing is to keep trying and recognizing your progress over time. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a triumph over fear and a step toward a more authentic and fulfilled life. Daily courage is essential for a full and meaningful life. Don't underestimate the power of small acts of bravery. Over time, these acts accumulate and transform you into not just someone who faces anxiety, but someone who lives with full authenticity and determination. Chapter 10. Finding Balance Through Temperance. Temperance, or moderation, is another essential virtue that the Stoics teach us. It's about finding balance and not being dominated by our emotions, especially in social situations. We live in a world where it's easy to get swept up in the tides of emotions, whether it's anxiety, anger, fear, or even euphoria. Temperance provides us with an anchor, allowing us to maintain our center and make conscious, balanced choices. When you find yourself in an anxiety-provoking situation, temperance is your ally. It helps you not to react impulsively. Instead, you can pause, breathe, and choose a more balanced response. This can make all the difference in how you feel and how you are perceived by others. Instead of being a hostage to your emotions, you become the captain of your own ship, sailing calmly through turbulent waters. Zeno of Citium, founder of Stoicism, described a temperate person as someone who is not kidnapped by pain or pleasure. This doesn't mean you won't feel anxious or nervous, that's natural, but it means you don't let those emotions control you. Temperance teaches us to live in a balanced way, appreciating moments of joy without getting lost in them and facing challenges without being overwhelmed by them. Practice temperance in your daily life. For example, when you're in a difficult conversation, remember to listen actively before responding. Listening carefully allows you to better understand the situation and respond more appropriately and thoughtfully. If you feel anxiety rising, pause and breathe deeply. This helps you center yourself and respond more thoughtfully. Small acts like these, repeated over time, can transform the way you deal with stress and anxiety. Temperance gives you the power to remain calm in the midst of chaos. And with this calm, you can navigate social situations with more confidence and less anxiety. Imagine being at a party where you don't know many people. Instead of feeling overwhelmed and anxious, you can use temperance to find a balance, perhaps starting a conversation with one person at a time and allowing yourself short breaks when needed. Furthermore, the practice of temperance is not limited to moments of crisis or anxiety. It can be applied to all aspects of life. By moderating your desires and impulses, you can avoid excesses that lead to regret. This includes not only social behaviors, but also consumption, work, and leisure habits. By finding a healthy balance, you promote a more sustainable and harmonious lifestyle. Finally, remember that temperance is an ongoing practice. It is a path, not a destination. There will be times when it is more challenging to maintain balance, but every effort to practice temperance contributes to your personal growth. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your small victories along the way.